now for Valentine's Day. We're also here for a bachelorette party tomorrow. We just got in and I've been reading, well, not very much, but like I just started reading The World Around Us by Lauren Lacey. In my last video, I had 3 books that I was like, which book should I read? And didn't, like I brought them, but didn't even pick up any of them. And I decided to start this one instead. I haven't read a book by Lauren Lacey in like a few months, so I wanted to read this one. I haven't really heard a ton of people talk about it because it just came out. I'm gonna try to read all like cutesy, Valentine's-y, like lovey-dovey pink books in this video for the most part, because that's all that I brought up with me. And yeah, I want to give you guys like a mini tour of the room before we go downstairs. This is the room. It's very cute, cozy, and I love rooms that just give like a very relaxing vibe. Like I feel like this whole room is everything that we're gonna need tonight to just relax. We're actually going up to the spa pretty soon. And this is the view out the window. You can see all of the buildings and stuff, and also like the beautiful skyline. It's like really pretty, and there's like just so many places to go. Like we're very close to Broadway, which is really nice. So yeah, we're gonna head down to the spa. I'm gonna bring my book with me and we're gonna get like couples massages, and then I think we're gonna go to the bookstore. And tonight we have like a really cool dinner. I have this like dress that I cannot wait to put on. I cannot wait to even show you guys. It's like a red, tight, just like super pretty dress, and I can't wait for Brady to see it on me too. I'm really excited. Yesterday, good morning by the way. I am just sitting in bed while he's going to get us breakfast from downstairs. It's kind of like a gloomier day. We have a bachelorette party today, so we're gonna be pretty busy. We're gonna get on a party bus and like all the things, and that is kind of wild for me because last night we were out until I think 1 a.m., which again is very late for us. We did take like a little afternoon nap after the spa, which was really nice, but we went to the bookstore. As you guys saw, I ended up getting some books, and I'm not sure like when I'll show that to you guys. I think I'll show you guys the books a little bit later, because I kind of want to go to one more bookstore, and so I kind of want to do like a collective haul of everything, but it just depends on like when we get done with the bachelorette stuff today, because obviously that's gonna be a big part of the day. Brady got me so many sweet gifts, which he did not need to do at all. Like no one needs to get anyone any gifts ever, but he already like booked this 5-star hotel, like a spa. He also booked like the dinner that we went to last night, which was like $380 or something for a table, and then obviously paid for the dinner, which the dinner was like, you know, $100 a piece. Like it was a pricey night. I will say that it was one of the best dinner experiences that I think I've ever had. I literally told him, I was like, this Valentine's Day has been the best ever, and it's made me realize how grateful I am. Not that I wasn't grateful before, but like how grateful I am for someone who loves me the way that I want to be loved. I think it's easy when you're with someone to like, I don't know, buy them a gift because it's like, you know, the quick thing to get, you know, but all of his gifts are so intentional. Like we saw a band last night, which was why like the table was like pricier, because they had this really good band that came, and I was like, I love this. But like, I'm not someone who normally likes to go out to dinner late. Like the dinner reservation was 9:15, and that to me is like late. I'm in bed usually by like 9:30, like reading my book, but like it was booked late. And he just knows me so well that he knew that like I would like to be out past 9:15 because of a band like this, which I loved it. Like I told him that it was probably the fastest hour and a half, because that's how long we had the table. Probably the fastest longest is probably the fastest hour and a half that I've ever like had in my entire life. And he's like, yeah, I totally agree. It feels like we've been here 30 minutes. He also got me this little gift. It like turns and you can see all these really special pictures. There's also a light that comes behind it. He put some of Bane on there, which is so sweet. But yeah, he like got this made. Like, you have to get this kind of stuff made early. He also got me this like paint by number, which I don't know if you guys can see that. It's of us. We got some pictures taken a while back, and he got like this paint by number thing. He's like, we can do this together on a date. So I just feel so grateful, because like, yes, you can buy someone, you know, flowers, which he did that as well. Like, and he sent the flowers to me a day early, because he's like, I know we're gonna be out of town, and I want you to be able to get some flowers. And then he also paid for champagne last night in advance, and paid for flowers for the table. And he's like, I think you can take the flowers home, but I don't know. Which we didn't even end up asking, because the thing they came out in was kind of like it looked like you weren't supposed to take it home. But he's like, I don't want you to not have flowers on Valentine's Day. Like, but my point is that someone could just do the easy thing, which is like, you know, go and, you know, I don't know, pick a flower, like a red rose, and maybe your favorite flower isn't even roses. Like, maybe your favorite flower is like daisies or something. Like, or they could, and I'm not saying it has to do with like money, because it isn't even about money. Like, he has like written me love letters. He has this like journal where every single anniversary he like writes what our year has been like, and like that's literally free, you know. It's like he just writes that every year. So it's not even about the money, but it's about like him knowing me so well that he knows I'm gonna want to go to the spa and the bookstore. And like the whole time we were at the bookstore, I was like, this is a book that I've read, and this is a book that I've read, and this book I've read. And it was just so nice. So I don't know, I really want to encourage you to like be with someone, but also be around people who love you the way that you want to be loved and also deserve to be loved. I know like in previous partnerships that I was in, granted years and years ago, because like Brady and I started dating when I was 19, but like I would literally beg for a text back. Like, and thinking about this makes me actually like violently ill, because I'm like, you were begging for a text back, and you have a man who like sends you flowers early, like a day early on Valentine's Day, because he knows you're gonna be out of town that next day and doesn't want you to go without flowers. Someone who like will go and like listen to you yap about books at a bookstore for like hours. Someone who will plan a super special date and like go to the spa and like do things that you know that you love, like cozy things. Like, he's not like trying to have me receive gifts that like are just like generic. It's like things that he knows that I'll love, like cozy, slow, relaxing things. Like, I was reading this book while I was in the spa, as you guys could see. I was using my light on my phone, so it wasn't actually as dark as it was whenever I showed you guys like the video. But I really like want to encourage you guys, like, good love, beautiful love is out there. Like, the love that you see in the like romances that we read, it is out there. It genuinely is out there. So anyway, reading this, really loving it so far. Lauren Lacey's writing reminds me a lot of Brittany Cherry's writing, where it's like cutesy, small town. It's very like Hallmark, Lifetime movie, like feels very picturesque. It's definitely giving like the melodrama soap opera vibes, and I am eating it up so far. I'm not super far into it. I haven't really had a time to read, because obviously yesterday was packed, so I'm only on like page 30, but I'm really loving it. I also brought all of these books thinking I was going to read them, but there's literally no way. Like, we leave tomorrow. I mean, I'll probably read a lot more of this in the car, because we do have like a almost 6-hour drive. But yeah, there's literally no way I'm going to read all these. So I'll probably try to read these this week. Summer in the City is an arc that I got, and it comes out at the end of March. So I really wanted to read it early. I've never read anything by this author. This author wrote Light Lark. And then Some Kind of Forever is by a Black author who wrote like a cutesy small town romance, and it's supposed to have lots of tension, and I don't think it's supposed to have a lot of spice, if any at all, but there's tons of tension, like looking at each other across the room, like touching each other's wrists and grabbing each other by the waist, like that kind of thing. Like the tension's supposed to be high, and that is the type of like no spice romance that I love. If there's not gonna be any spice, it needs to at least feel, I need to feel those little like just heart butterflies. Like, I don't even know if that's like a thing, but you know what I mean? It's like my heart is like so happy, but it feels like there's butterflies like tip tapping on it. And then Beautiful Broken Love is a book, another book by a Black author that I'm really excited to read because it came out I think a month ago, and I've heard nothing but incredible reviews, like 5 stars all around. It's about a woman whose husband, I think, passes away. Literally says it on the back of the book. Like, that's the only reason why I know anything about this book. And then I think she ends up meeting this guy. He's like a hot NBA star, and I think she ends up like starting to have feelings for him, but also she's like having this push and pull because of her like grief from her previous husband. So yeah, this right here and this, they're both sports romances, but I've been wanting to read more sports romance because I've kind of gotten into this, like, I don't know, like I just haven't really read a lot of sports romance, and maybe because in my head I'm like, oh, it's gonna be like the cheesy like icebreaker type of vibe, you know, where it's like super heavy on the spice and like not good plot. So I have kind of tried to stray away from those. But books by like Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan are the type of sports romances that I want to read. So hopefully I will really enjoy these. But Brady's back with the food, so we're gonna eat.
I really enjoyed these. These are gonna be the best book ever.
What'd you end up getting us?
I got myself a coffee, and then I got you a sandwich.
Ooh, I'm so hungry. I've been getting so hungry in the mornings because I eat, like I wake up at like 5:30, and I usually eat like right when I get up. And so whenever we like go out of town or on the weekends and stuff, I'm like famished by like 9:30, which is what time it is now. But we're gonna eat this, and then we're gonna leave and go do like bachelorette stuff in like 2 hours. So yeah, I'll keep you guys posted on this book and how I feel. I already own this book, and every time I come in, I literally pick it up and think about how much I want to read it, but how nervous I am. Since I read Blue Sisters, I love that book so much. Like, literally, it was one of my top like books that I was like obsessed with from last year, but I just feel like this book isn't gonna live up to the hype. But someone let me know if you've read this book, if you enjoyed it. Is it worth like picking up in comparison to the other one? I just love the other book so much, and I have heard kind of like mixed reviews. Like, some people are obsessed with this one and some people are just like, it's okay. I need to know, is it as good as Blue Sisters? I have never seen a book about people playing pickleball, but now I feel like I want to read it. I love that authors are being so creative these days with like the sports romances. Book that I just found is a fake dating like scheme for publicity. I eat that up. Like, a lot of the time fake dating schemes like don't really make sense to me, because it's like, why fake date? Like, just actually date, you know what I mean? But when it's fake dating because you're both famous or you're both like artists or something, I feel like that makes sense to me, and it's like a little bit more believable. Not that you have to have romance books being even like any semblance of believable, because it's like romance, but this is my favorite type of fake dating. Either that, or like you're fake dating because your parents like want you to get together, or they don't want you to be single, or it's like around holiday season and you don't want to have like be single, something like that. Like, those are the only two fake dating tropes that I really love. it is time for me to give you guys a book haul of all of the books that I picked up, and I also have some packages that I got while I was out of town. And then I also have like a random like non-book package, but I'm gonna open it with you guys anyway. I'll open that first. I have been getting a lot of like really dry spots. Like, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but this is the driest I've been ever in my entire life, like this winter. So I've been trying to find more like lotions and oils and stuff that'll like actually hydrate my skin. Initially, I thought it was because I was showering twice a day, because a lot of the time I'll do like Pilates or CrossFit in the morning. And then I would do like something at night. Like I, for a while, was doing CrossFit in the morning and then Pilates at night. And I ended up switching that, where I only do Pilates in the evening on Thursdays, and then I do Pilates in the morning on Mondays, but I don't do like CrossFit that day, so I don't have to do like 2 workouts in a day. But on that day, I was like, I need to shower twice. Like, I do not want to like do my workout in the morning and then like go and put on like a really tight set in the evening and have my legs like wide open at Pilates, you know? Like, I was like, I need to be like clean when I like go in there, but then, and I don't want to like be sweaty all day for my morning workout. But then after Pilates, I also didn't want to go to bed like sweaty, so I was showering twice a day. So I was like, I think that's what's like making my skin dry. Ended up stopping that, and I still had really dry skin, so I was like, what is going on? So now I've been trying to find things that would hydrate my skin. This is my second time buying this, and I talked about this in a previous video. This is the Moisture Rich Balm from Oak Essentials. This is like $80. Like, it's not cheap, but it is the only thing that has worked to really like get the dry spots. And this isn't like something I put everywhere. I've just been getting really dry like right here, and I found that like when it's really snowy or like windy, like the wind when it hits my face, I use a lot of moisturizer on my face, but a lot of the time my neck, I kind of like miss it. So I've just been getting like really dry like here, and then like the back of my neck, sometimes like my shoulders and like my arms. It just like needs a little bit of extra attention. So I've been getting this, and it works so well. Again, it's very expensive, but you don't need very much of it. My other one, I used it like just, there was nothing left. Like, I was scooping every little bit out of there. So that's when I knew, I was like, okay, I gotta buy another one, because I'm just like itching to use it again, and I don't have the ability to because it's gone. So I'm gonna show you guys what I got at Barnes. It's actually not a book, but then I have these 2 like bookish boxes down there. This is something I got for my nephew. I don't know if there's anything, like, I don't know if anyone loves children more, other than like obviously parents, than someone who wants kids but doesn't have any. I spoil my nieces and nephews so much, and we are getting ready to go see them probably in like a week or 2, because we usually see them like we saw them for the Super Bowl, and we'll probably see them in like a week or 2. That's usually just like how we end up like going to see them. It's like every other weekend, something like that. And I bought 2 dresses, and I actually bought dresses from Hill House for my nieces so they could match, and I wanted to give it to them on Valentine's Day, so I paid $25 for express shipping, and it didn't come in time. So I'm gonna end up giving it to them the next time I see them, but I didn't want to not have something for my nephew because I got the girls' dresses, and so I picked up this little car. It says 5+, so I figured he could do it. The last time that I was at his house, he was actually working on like a Lego set thing, and I was so surprised because he's 5, but like he had all the instructions and was like reading them, like putting it together. And I just was like, I have no gauge for what kids can do at like what age. And in my head, I was like, a 5-year-old needs like help with that, and he just like did it just fine by himself. So I wanted to get him another one of these because he obviously loves them. And yeah, I kind of want to get into Legos myself, honestly, because I feel like they're just a fun way to like relax and not do anything, but be also doing something at the same time. Like nothing that's like true strenuous. And then I got some books from the bookstore in Chicago, not Chicago, Nashville. I have been wanting to go back to Chicago. You guys know I love Chicago. I haven't been in a bit, but I kind of want to go back because it's been a while since I went. I got 3 books. One of them is by a Black author, and then one of them is by an author of color, and then the other one is like a more popular author. I'll start with the like more popular book first. I got Change of Heart by Fallon Ballard. This says a workaholic must strive for the one goal she never wanted, love. And on the front it says it's a laugh out loud, funny and romantic it's laugh out loud funny and romantic beyond the scope of space and time. And Annabelle Monaghan said that, and I absolutely love her books. I've read all of her romances, and I always feel like if an author says that a book is good and they like write like a little blurb on the book, the writing is going to be similar to that author. I've never read anything by Fallon Ballard, but Sophie Cousins also has like a little blurb on the back. It says, the perfect blend of wit and romance. Imagine Pleasantville and the Hating Game had a book baby. I adored this book, Fallon Ballard at her best. So I think it's supposed to be just like a cutesy, fun romance, and I'm excited to read this one. I also picked up June by Erin Crosby Eckstein. This looks really good. It says a young girl must face a life-altering decision after awakening her sister's ghosts, navigating truths about love and friendship and the power as the Civil War looms. And this is the story of Junie, who's 16 years old. She's enslaved and she spends her life on the plantation in Alabama. And it just like goes through, I think, her life and the people around her. I'm excited to read this because I feel like you don't hear a lot of stories about people living on plantations at a younger age that are actually for adults. Like, this is an adult story. I feel like a lot of the stories of like girls or boys who are enslaved during this time period that are like young, it's usually like middle grade or it's like high school, and I haven't really been gravitating towards young adult books lately. So I'm really excited to read this one. And it was also a Good Morning America book club pick, and I feel like they have good book picks. So excited to read this one. I actually almost didn't get this, and then I saw in the back there is a quote from Charmaine Wilkerson, who wrote Black Cake, and it says, the richly textured prose quickly pulled me into the protagonist's treacherous yet magical world. I was drawn to the story of Junie, an enslaved teenager with a love of books and nature who must navigate difficult truths about her family and friendships in order to survive her times. A lover of books, like that's a woman after my own heart. So I had to pick this up. Also, the cover is stunning. So yeah, really excited to dive into that one. I also picked up Spiral by Bal Cabra. Now, I struggle because I almost didn't get this book because I have not read Collide. This is the first book by this author, Collide is, and then this is the second book by this author. But anytime that a girl is of color in a book and I see it in a bookstore, I just have to buy it. And in my head, I'm like, okay, you're either gonna read it, or if you're not gonna read it, you're gonna donate to someone who will read it. You know what I mean? And I just feel like it doesn't matter, you know, whether I am reading the story right away or not. Like, it can sit on my shelf like a wine glass or like a wine bottle. I just want to support these authors. And I think I mentioned how in the last vlog when I was looking for Christina Forrest's new book, The Love Lyric, when I was in my Barnes & Noble in town, they only had one copy. Genuinely only had one copy. I was also looking for Harlem Rhapsody. They only had one copy. There were no copies in the back, only one copy. And it always just makes me so sad when I only seen one copy of a book that is like a book so many people have talked about, and I just always feel like the bookstores don't give these authors a chance. If you guys aren't aware, I think there's only like 5% of books that are traditionally published, like by large publishers, are by Black authors. So 5% being such a small percentage, if they're put on the shelves and you only put one book on the shelf, then it's like you're already doomed to fail. Like, you are doomed for like this book to just not do well. And it's like, are you only putting this author like on your roster or like getting their books out there because you want to like say that you have a diverse like portion of people under your publishing house? Like, I don't know. And so I just always want to support these authors forever and ever and ever. So anyway, picked up this book by this author. I'm pretty sure that she's an author of color. I don't think that she's Black, but I could also be wrong. I feel like she is. I think she is. But it also is interesting seeing on the back of this book, it says cover by Lenny Kaufman. And this is how I know I'm in the book world, because I have seen this like author have her art on other books, and like, it's just cool knowing people now, like knowing authors, knowing artists, knowing the actors and actresses on audiobooks. And when someone's like, oh yeah, the cover art's by so-and-so, I'm like, oh yes, I need that. You know what I mean? It's just nice having like lingo and like people that we know, and it's like our own little secret world. So this book, it says he's on edge while she's in point in this fake dating sports romance. Fun fact, I actually used to dance, and it was very short-lived because I did one recital and my mom was like, yeah, we're gonna put you in soccer. Like, this isn't for you. But my older sister, she started dancing at 9, and I remember everyone was like, oh, she's like starting too late, like she's not gonna have enough time to like get good, because we started a little bit younger. And she literally went on to like go dance in a company in New York City, and now she's dancing in a studio in or in a company in New Orleans. And she was actually with the company that, I don't know if you guys saw like where Beyonce had all of her pictures in New Orleans, like that. It was like a beautiful like church looking like building whenever she like got married, or no, it was Solange, I think. In that building, like that's literally where I've seen so many of her shows. So I just think it's cool whenever people follow their dreams, and I just think it's also cool seeing sports romances that like show different like athletes that I feel like aren't as prominent. Like seeing dancers is like very rare to see. I feel like you see a lot of like basketball or baseball, but it's always like the guy, like you don't see like the girl. So obviously he's playing a sport, but it looks like she is too. Very cutesy, so I'm excited for that. And then I also have this box right here. This is from Wildflower Fiction. I have purchased so many books from this bookstore. It's one of my favorite bookstores. The owner, she started a book store like out of her home, and it is literally blown up. Like if you go and look at her videos on Instagram or like TikTok, it's so cool because you get to see her like packaging all the boxes, and I just think it's really neat. So I love supporting her. She also shares a bunch of books by authors that like you probably haven't heard of before, and I love that. Like it's so easy to find like new books whenever I go onto her website, because you don't really have to do very much. Like she just has them on her like new release page, tons of books, and they only have like a few reviews. So if you're someone who doesn't really know where to start, if you're trying not to just read the super popular books, you should definitely go check out her bookstore. So I got these two right here, and she put a little bookmark in here. How cute! Guys, this bookmark is so girl coded. Oh my gosh, so cute. And she also put a little bow on the front. So the first book that I got is a pretty like popular-ish book. And I actually got this because Bree said that she, at the time she was going to read it. I think she's read it since. And so I went to pick it up. And it says, 2 X's, 8 destinations, love travels fast. P.S. I hate you. In this splendidly bittersweet romantic comedy, enemies forced together by a mutual loss are led on a cross-country journey to a second chance. This is reminding me a lot of, there's like a movie. Is this that movie? It's like this couple. No, because in that movie, I think the woman, her husband died. I want to say it's like P.S. I love you so much or something like very similar. But I think her husband dies, and he like writes her all these letters for her to like go pick up. I think. And this says that it's like about her brother's funeral. So I'm assuming maybe her brother dies. I really don't want to read the back. I'm so serious. Like I've really been enjoying going into books fairly blind. I feel like it's made the book experience so much more fun when I don't really know what's coming. She put another bookmark in here. I just love how bows have gotten so popular. This weekend when we were in, where were we at? Nashville. We were in Nashville for the bachelorette party. There was a girl who was wearing these bow earrings. I was like, oh my God, where'd you get those? She's like, Amazon, like they're so cute. And I was like, I am literally gonna buy those. Like I've really been into bows lately. I also picked up Summertime Friends. Again, her website or her bookstore and website have such great books that you just don't hear very often. And this one, I have to read the back because I feel like you probably haven't heard of this one before. It's called Summertime Friends by Hannah Hambrick. It says, will there only ever be summertime friends? After graduating college, Emerson Clark believes a summer in Europe with her best friend will be her Pinterest board dream. When her best friend unexpectedly returns home, she insists that Emerson stay and finish their trip. Being alone isn't new to her. She had to grow up learning to take care of herself, but after one night and a perfect day with a complete stranger, she's no longer optimistic that she wants to be alone. Liam Hayes is London's hottest new hotel entrepreneur when he learns that the cheeky brunette he met doesn't believe in love. Liam is determined to change her mind by spending the rest of the summer with her. Together they form an undeniable friendship and have one unforgettable and adventurous summer. After years of not seeing each other, Emerson runs into Liam, who is supposed to be in London. Now living in the same city, Emerson tries to ignore him and the connection she feels with him, but a series of events throws them together again and again. Forgetting Liam Hayes is a more significant challenge than she anticipated, and there's no denying that Liam feels a connection too. But what if the connection tying them together isn't what either of them saw coming? I had never heard of anyone talk about this book, and seeing it on there, I was like, oh yeah, I'm for sure getting that. Any book that has like an endless summer type of vibe, like we met and had this like incredible connection and like something pulled us apart and then something pulls us back together. Those are the vibes that I need leading into summer. It's just gonna get me excited for summer. So picked up this one, very excited. I will link all these books below. I also have another package coming from Deb's Bookshop, which is the bookstore that did like blind date with a book that I showed you guys in I think the last vlog. She sent 3 books, but I had actually ordered 6. And so I shot her a quick email and she's like, oh my God, like so sorry, I meant to send the other 3. So she overnight shipped the other one. So I'll get those, I think tomorrow or the day after. And so I'm gonna show those to you guys too, because they're very like cutesy and Valentine's-y. I think I ordered 3 contemporary fiction and 3 romance. And I think the other like books that I got were romance, but it's cool because she does blind date with a book, but they're all by Black authors or like minority like groups. So it's cool to see that because I feel like whenever I do blind date with a book, I just assume that the books probably aren't going to be very diverse. And she specifically has created a place to get diverse blind dates with a book. So yeah, anyway, we'll link these books below. I'm gonna read some more. I've been really loving the book that I've been reading. And I have to talk about with it. I have to talk to you guys about it a little bit later once I put these books up. This book is so sad, like so sad. I did not realize it was going to be this sad. I am pretty far into it. I'm 139 pages. So I mean, I guess I still do have a good ways to go because it's 446 pages, but I've been reading it so fast because it's just like so much is happening, like left and right. If you like Brittany Cherry's stories, I really think that you'll enjoy this one because it has a similar feel. It's like set in a small town. There's like a, I don't want to spoil anything because I feel like going into this really blind is like what's going to make it the best because like that's kind of how I went into it. But the 2 people in this book, they just go through so much and it looks super cutesy by the front, but it is just so heart-wrenching. Like this entire book, I'm just like oh my gosh. And again, like I feel like it's written very like melodramatic and kind of like soap opera vibes, but it's reminding me a lot of Brittany Cherry's writing, which I enjoy. And I'm not someone who really loves super long books. Like if it's over 400 pages, you really have to hook me. But this is one of those that like I have not wanted to put down at all. And I also feel like this is the closest I've been to getting into a slump. I've never been in a book slump, and it's usually like really easy for me to get out of. I'll read something that just like hooks me immediately, but I honestly think the reason why I've been getting close to being in a book slump is because I've been being on my phone too much. like our brains, I don't think are meant to use our phones the way that we use them, like constantly getting that dopamine release where like every single time you see a new piece of content, like your brain just gets this like teeny tiny minimal spike of dopamine. And then it becomes like a drug, like something that you like just can't let go of. You don't want to put down, like you're addicted to it. And I feel like I have gotten into the habit of just like scrolling more than I normally do. I'm usually pretty good about like keeping my phone, you know, like turned upside down or off, not off, but like not using it while I'm reading. And I've been having a lot harder time. And I think it's genuinely because I have been using it. Like the more I use it, the more I don't want to not use it. So the thing that always helps me break that cycle is to set a timer for like 10 or 15 minutes. And then once that timer goes up, I'll set another timer for like 20 minutes. And I do not touch my phone during that time. It really helps me to kind of like reset. And then also having specific times to read and sticking to those times. Like in the morning, I have been working when I wake up at 5 a.m. instead of like reading, which is why I like initially set the time for me to wake up in the morning to read or to like just wake up in general. I wanted to have extra time to do something I love, and I've started like using it as a work time. And so I want to kind of reclaim that time back. But this is one of those books that I feel like would be perfect for someone who thinks they're going to be in a slump or is like falling into a slump, because even though it's long, and granted, I can't tell you how I'm going to feel by the end of it, but even though it's long, it is so fast paced. Like once you get past the first, I don't know, few chapters, like it really, the pace really like just is on like 2 times speed. So I'm really loving this so far. This is my 3rd book by this author, and I think that this one, is this gonna be my favorite? I don't know. I really loved Love You Always. Like I rated Love You Always 4.5 out of 5 stars, but this one could easily be higher rated than that one. Like I don't know, we'll see, because again, Love You Always isn't as long as this one. So if the pacing keeps up, like that's the only thing, is like a lot of the time books will be like great pacing, keep you hooked, and up until like the 300 page mark, and then that last like 100 and something pages, it's just like not enough to keep me invested. Usually that happens a lot with long books with me, so we'll see. But right now it's so good. I'm getting like very emotional. I've not cried reading a book in a while. Like I've read some like emotional books like Bear Town and like books that a lot of people are like, oh, it's like so heart-wrenching, it'll make you cry. And like I felt like emotion from them, but I haven't felt like I was gonna cry. And this is a book where I'm like, whoa, like am I about to cry? Like I'm feeling emotions. Which is making the story so much more real, because like when you're about to fall into a book slump, I think a large part of why that happens is because the stories stop being real to you, and it just feels like you're reading words like on paper. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like you're watching a movie or like the characters are real people, but this book definitely feels like that. So I'm really loving it. And I think that this is the 2nd book in, or the 1st book in a series, but she's gonna have a 2nd book in this series come out. I do think that it's really interesting how she's connecting the towns. So this book is set in Greer, and the other town is Beverly Mills, and Beverly Mills is like the town over from Greer. So like, even though the people don't know each other, it's just like interesting that she's like making this world that feels real, because they like mention that Beverly Mills is like Mayberry, and they're like, yeah, Greer is a little bit more gritty. And like they don't know people in Beverly Mills, but like I do, because I read 2 books from that series. So it's kind of cool. She's just like setting the scene and like making it feel like a real place to go visit. So yeah, I'm gonna keep reading this, and I'll keep you guys posted on my thoughts, but I'm loving it so far. Wanted to give you guys a quick update, and if you guys hear noise, it's because our house is loud right now. We have some like home construction, which I feel like I've told you guys in every video that like there are people working in our basement, and I haven't been filming as much at home because I've been trying to like save you guys' ears from like hearing the noise, but this is the only time of day that I'll be able to film. So I wanted to give you guys a quick update on this book. I am really enjoying it so far. I'm only on chapter 4, and I wanted to add this in because whenever I get close to being at the end of another book, I always like to pick up just like a book and get it started, because I feel like the hardest thing about reading a book is like actually getting it started. So yeah, I am wanting to switch it up a bit and read historical fiction. I also feel like the way that it's so loud right now, and they got here at like 7 o'clock. The historical fictions or contemporary fictions always make me appreciate romance so much more. So yeah, I'm really excited to dive into this more. I actually have a package coming, and I want to show you guys what is in that package because it's like some books, but I don't think I'll be able to show you until tomorrow. My day's absolutely packed. I'm getting ready to eat my lunch right now, which is why I poured a glass of milk. And yeah, so I'm gonna pick up this camera again tomorrow because it is so loud, but I had to give you guys an update. I'm on chapter 4, really enjoying this so far, and I'll give you guys another update tomorrow. Decided to come into Walmart to see what they had in here, just like book-wise. And guys, did you guys know that Walmart has special edition books? This is the Walmart exclusive cover of First Time Caller, and it's pink. I almost liked, or this one's purple, and I almost like this one better than the pink one that I feel like I've seen everywhere else. They also have books that I feel like I have not seen anywhere else. This is The Wedding Menu by Letizia Lorena. And there's so many other books too. Like this book, Clean Point. I don't think I've seen this anywhere. This one, Better Than Revenge. I definitely need to come here more. I have seen this at Barnes & Noble, but they only had one copy. And this just looked like a cutesy read, so I bought this a while back. But yeah, they have so many good options here. Like, I can never find these at Barnes. They're just like always sold out. I definitely need to come into Walmart and get more books from here because they have actually a really good selection. Like this right here is Legends and Lattes, and it's a special edition copy. How cute! I feel like if I read fantasy books that look like this, I would want to read them more, because a lot of the time they just don't give like the vibe that I want the books on my shelf to give, or just like books I gravitate towards. They have so many good books here. I've heard literally one person say that Swift and Saddled was better than Done and Dusted. I read Done and Dusted, didn't really care for it, and they said this was their favorite book in the entire series, so now I want to read it just because of that one person. Okay, also, did you guys know that they have these like mini books? I had no idea, but these are cheaper. This is like $7 and some change, and I didn't realize that they had this for like more popular new books. I feel like I only thought that they were like the older books, but they have like more popular books of that size too. Why is it that I feel like I need to buy every Freida McFadden book? Like, I've heard nothing but like not great reviews about this book, and I want to buy it just to read it, but I need to remind myself it's probably at my library, so maybe I'll check my library and see if it's there today. Okay, I kind of feel like Walmart maybe is finding books that are like on Book Talk and like are not maybe super big yet, because this book right here, I haven't seen anyone talk about it. It's called Only in Your Dreams by Ellie K. Wilde, and on the front it says, packed with sizzling tension, heat, and sweet swoon-worthy moments, Wilde's voice is fresh, authentic, and wonderfully charming. And that was by Peyton Corin, who is the author of Unsteady, and that was like a popular Book Talk book. I'm gonna look this up on Goodreads and see how many reviews that this one has. This book only has 7,000 reviews on Goodreads, and that is kind of cool because I feel like it's very rare to see like bookstores that are getting like really unpopular books or books that aren't like super hyped up yet. So yeah, that's kind of cool. The guys who are working, I think, are on a little lunch break, so I can give you guys a little book update and a little book haul with the things that I ended up picking up. So I'm gonna start with the book update, and then I'll get into the book haul. So for this book right here, I took like a mini break, not like a big break, because I was reading this last night, but I got to chapter 30 of this book and could not put it down. I have been just so immersed in this book. Like, I do not want to stop reading, and I haven't actually felt that with a historical fiction in a really long time. Granted, I haven't read like a ton of historical fictions, but I love that feeling when I'm just so like I just need to know what happens next. This book is such an incredible story. It's the story of Charlotte, Nell, and Evie. And Charlotte or Nell, she is a Black woman who's from like a very wealthy family. And this is in like the 1830s, I think. Yeah, 1837. And so you're seeing that perspective. Then you're also seeing the perspective of Charlotte, who is a fugitive slave. And then you're also seeing Evie's perspective, who is a captive slave. So seeing all these perspectives, and they're all in Philadelphia, which is like right after the time where slaves were like becoming free, but it's like, are you really free or are you not? I have literally taken notes on this book. Like, there's so many things that have really stuck out to me about this. I was talking to Brady about it last night, and it is just like so interesting. So like I want to talk about it last night, but like I just could not put it down. It's interesting how all three women are Black women, but they all live such different lives. And because of the life that they live, they also think so differently about the world that they live in, which reminded me so much of like right now, like just in 2025, because Nell is very, very wealthy. So she sees like there are issues with like Black people and slave owners and stuff, but she doesn't really see like how complex it is because her family, like, they were slaves like so far back, like way far back in time. And so I don't feel like you also see a lot of stories of Black wealth in that time period. And it's really interesting because she considers herself an abolitionist, but really her abolitionist group that she's a part of and has like a mix of like white women and Black women, they really only do like committees. Like, they don't really do actual like work. And she brings up this thought, like, maybe we could like help, you know, people escape. And they're like, well, that's illegal. Like, we can't do that. Like, we can, you know, fundraise, like, and we can but it, like, they didn't really want to get their hands dirty and do anything really like overt. So that just made me think of like so often, like, you know, we can want to make change, but be like fearful to actually take like action to make like real change. And not that the change that they were making wasn't like real, but it's like they could have easily had a bigger impact. So you see Nell start to be like, is this the type of group that I want to be a part of? Do I want to make a bigger change? And then she ends up meeting Charlotte, who is a fugitive slave, but she doesn't tell Nell that. So of course, Charlotte has a different perspective. She's like, oh, we should definitely help these people. Like, but she is living with her dad, who's passing for white. And it's also interesting, again, I'm loving the perspectives, and I usually don't like a lot of perspectives in books, but it's interesting because her dad, James, used to be at the same plantation that Evie was at, who is the like slave who's like, she's still a slave in this book. And it's interesting because he's passing for white and he's trying so hard to like leave his past life behind him. And he like wants to have a better life. He's like, I'm doing all this for you. And his daughter is passing as his slave. So he's becoming more and more successful and he's building wealth and he's trying to be kind of like Nell's family, like just really like wealthy, well-known, that kind of thing. And he doesn't really want his daughter to go anywhere because he's like, I don't want people to like find out who we are. But then he is like meeting all these people and doing all these things. And she's like, well, what about you? Like, you're almost treating me like a slave in a way. And he's just becoming so like obsessed with like success. And it made me think about The Personal Librarian by Victoria Christopher Murray, because in that book, she is passing for white and she becomes JP Morgan's personal librarian. She's very successful, one of the most successful women during that time period. And in the book, it's written as if she is like, just like doing incredible things. Like, it's written in a very positive light. But then in this book, James is written in a very negative light, but it's like same thing, like someone who's wanting wealth. And even in The Personal Librarian, they actually asked her if she wanted to be a part of like an abolitionist group. And she's like, no, like I don't, like, you know, she's like, I'm busy with work. But she was like, well, I can't be a part of that group because like, what if they find me out? Like, what if they find out that I'm like not passing and like that I'm like black and they are not gonna want me to like be as successful. Granted, different time periods, but still, like, in different cities, but still, it really made me think differently, because in that book I was kind of like, wow, like, you know, she's doing great things, and like in her work she is someone who is like one of the most successful women during that time. So like, why would she give that up? Because like, this is a step forward for black women. But then in this, it's written for James, like, well, by you stepping forward, you're leaving people behind. And so it's just interesting to seeing the two perspectives. And I love when I can like read another book and it kind of overlaps in a way. So yeah, really loving this book, but I did have to take a break from reading this one because I cannot put this one down. So once I finish this, I'll probably go back to this one. Really loving this one as well. And that's the thing about reading books at the same time that are in different genres. I feel like I love the books even more because when I'm reading it, like, I am getting two totally different perspectives of like stories, two different timelines, two different people. Like, it feels like I'm watching two different movies and I just have to pick up the one that I'm most interested in depending on my mood. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna show you guys the books that I got. The lighting keeps getting like weird, so I hope it doesn't keep like changing. If it does, I might move us to the kitchen. But I got some kids books from Walmart, and I want to show you guys these first. I picked them up for my niece and nephew. I got The Little Blue Truck. This is a book that someone at my gym actually recommended. They said it's one of the best kids books they've like ever read. It's so interactive and so fun. On the back it says, "Neigh," said a horse, "quack," said a duck, "beep," said the friendly little blue truck. And it has like all these different like sounds and stuff in the book. Then I also got All About Bingo, because they're really into Bluey. And then Carter's kind of getting to the age, he's like the older nephew of mine. He's kind of getting to the age, he's 5, where he like wants to be like older, you know? So like, he's like, Bluey's too little for me. Like, I'm 5 now. Like, I'm, you know, gonna be 6 in June. So I got him this book, No One Likes a Fart, because he's a boy and he like thinks farts are funny, and like, he's like, girls drool and boys rule, and like when we said that, he thought that was hilarious. But I'm like, I forget that like kids are living for the very first time, so he'd probably never heard that before. And like, I think Brady said it and he was like, oh my gosh, that's a good one. Yeah, we're like, you've never heard that before, you're 5. So yeah, anyway, we were just like joking. He's like the cutest kid ever. So yeah, I got this package, and I know this is a package of books for me because I can't just get books for other people. I was gonna get some books at the library, but I decided against it because I already have books on my shelf and I really want to finish the books that I have on my TBR like by the end of this month, and I really only have like a week left. But there's so many books that I really want to read this month. So I'm like, I'm not gonna even get to them if I pick up library books, because I actually have been reading the books I've been getting from the library. I feel like in the past I would like get them and then I would just end up reading what's on my TBR, but now I feel like I'm reading them even more than my own books on my shelf. Granted, I have been buying some books from the library that I already own, which is a way to support the library, because like, you know, you're gonna get more funding and more grants and stuff based on people who are like coming in and checking out books. So it's a great thing overall, but there were some books that I was reading that I didn't own, and I was like, yeah, I gotta read some of the books that I have as well. But I do love supporting the library because it's such a great third space. Like, while I was in there, I was like, it's so nice being able to be in the sun, and just like soak it up and not have to really worry about spending money if I don't want to. Like, they have like a little bookstore that you can buy books for like 50 cents in there. But other than that, like, you can't really spend money. And so, like, we need more third spaces. We need spaces where people can go when it's winter and it's cold and it's gloomy and you're feeling some type of way, you just need to get out of the house. The library is perfect for that. One of my friends at the gym, she always goes to the library, and she goes often with her kids, and I'm like, that's such a cool thing to do for a stay-at-home mom. So yeah, I got this little package. This is from the, it's from Dev's bookshop. I will link it below. And she like missed one of my packages, and I emailed her and I was like, hey, like I ordered 2 packages, you sent me one, and I opened it on like one of the videos and it was 3 books. And so she's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, like do you want me to overnight it? I was like, you don't have to overnight it. I was like, it's not that big of a deal, you can either overnight it or you can like send it in a few weeks. Like I just wanted to let you know I didn't get it. So she ended up overnighting it. She's like, I'm sorry I missed this, here's a code for your next order, which is so sweet. But she is a woman who has blind dates with the book, and they are all like diverse reads, which I think is the coolest thing. And you can pick the category you want, you can pick romance, you can pick contemporary fiction, you can pick sci-fi. So yeah, I thought that was cool. And then she also put this little tote in here. It says born to read, forced to work. I literally feel like we all feel this way. So yeah, I'm gonna open these 3 with you guys because I just think that this is the coolest thing ever, being able to like get books from her. And I'm gonna take a picture of this because I'm gonna see if I can find her on Instagram and share this little package. Just, I love supporting small businesses when I can, like as much as I can. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and if I can't find her on Instagram, then whatever. But I actually found her on TikTok. And let's open these 3 books. I'm so excited. I love how she wrapped them too. Oh my gosh. Game On by Ceresia Glass. I have not read this book. And in the other package of books that she gave me, I hadn't read them either, and I just love getting books, like in blind dates with the book that I have not read. This is one I haven't read. I've read The Love Con by Ceresia Glass. It was super cute. And actually one of you guys said, like, you read Game On, you're like, please pick it up, it's so good. On the back it says, when an unexpected player 2 enters her life, a gamer must decide if their relationship is worth leveling up. So if you're into games, like in gaming, this would be really cute. I feel like you don't see a lot of books about gaming. I think the only one I can think of is like, there was the book called The 12th Night, and I think that was like a Shakespeare like retelling or something. I have never even heard of this book. Ramon and Julieta. Oh my gosh, guys, I have never heard of this book. That is so rare to find, like a book. Like, please, if you want to blind date with a book, go buy one of her like packages. You can either buy 1 book, you can buy 3. This says, when fate and tacos bring Ramon and Julieta together on the Day of the Dead, the star-crossed pair must make a choice: accept the bitter food rivalry that brings them apart, or surrender to a love that consumes them. I have never ever read a book by this author or even seen that book before. And this last one, I got The Love Script, which I do own this one, so I will pass this one on to a free library. But I love being able to fill up free libraries when I can. So yeah, I am so excited to read these. This is a little romance package that I got. She has such great bookish options if you guys want to support a Black-owned business and you also want to get books by authors, like, and you're getting diverse reads that you literally don't know what they are, but like these are really good picks. So yeah, really excited to read all of these. And I'm gonna give you guys another little update probably tomorrow, just because if I give you guys one today, you're probably gonna hear hammering like you did yesterday, because I think they're gonna be back from lunch soon. But yeah, really excited to read these. I finished the book that I was reading, and now I genuinely need a break. Like, I need to read something fun. I need to read something that's gonna put me in a good mood, because all we were promised was an incredible book, but it definitely was very heavy, and I think it would be great for a book club. I'm getting my lunch out right now. I try to make like not pre-made meals, but I'll like make little meals and put them into containers, and these are like washable, so I'll like reuse this again. And it makes it really easy for whenever I go to eat my lunch, because I don't even have to think about what I want to eat. It's already like made. And usually I'll make the same thing for dinner and then just like double up the recipe and then make it for lunch. This is a protein bowl. It has cauliflower rice, and it also has some ground beef in it, tomatoes, and a little bit of cheese. We usually don't do cheese or what's it called? Potatoes, even though like that is technically like what we like eat, because like we have been pretty much just eating meat or like anything that comes from an animal, so like milk or cheese or whatever, and then fruits and vegetables since October. And we don't usually have cheese or potatoes, but these protein bowls are so good, and I just want to throw in a little bit of cheese today. But I'm gonna eat this, read this new book that I want to start. I want to start an Octavia Grant book, because whenever I read something really heavy, I always feel like I need to take like a mini break to read something that's gonna be just like an easier read. And this one was heavy but good. Would be a great book club book. I'm gonna rate this one 4 stars. I think that I would rate it like 4.5 or maybe even 5 stars if there was more dialogue, but there was a lot of like, it wasn't even like inner monologue, but it was like things were happening, and so you're seeing like what people were doing, but it wasn't told through like people talking. And I don't really know how else to explain that, but it was really good. I really love this and would definitely recommend it. 4 stars. I love the 3 different perspectives, and I feel like I learned so much, as always. Anytime I read historical fiction, I'm like, wow, like even though I knew this, seeing it from the perspective of like a real person, and even though I know that people are real in history books and stuff, it just doesn't come to life until I am like really getting into the heart and the emotions of the character. And I love that the historical fictions do that. I think I'm gonna read this book, Captured Secrets by Octavia Grant. I just need something that's like funny, fun, lighthearted, something that's gonna make me, I don't know, it's gonna be unhinged. And that's what I'm going for. Her books are always like that. So I'm gonna get my food and we'll start reading this one. Whenever I get new books, I always want to do a little audit of books that I just don't think I'm going to get to. So I have a few books that I'm going to unhaul, and I try to do this often. And the last few times that I've unhauled books, I gave some to free little libraries that were near like schools on the east side of town, and then I also gave books to a women's shelter. And I just did not realize how much of an impact that could make. The shelter, they were so grateful, and I actually volunteered at that shelter like years ago, and I remember going in and like reading to some little kids, and then my mom, she like did some classes, like what to do during an interview and like that kind of thing. And fun fact, my mom, like she has so much knowledge, but one thing she's very knowledgeable about is like etiquette and just like, you know, place setting and things like that. And I feel like it's almost a dying art in a way. She also is very knowledgeable about like gardening and homeschooling, but those weren't really things that would translate to someone at the time of being in a shelter. And so they had like her go in, and she did such a great job. But I remember being in like the little kid area and reading to the kids, and there weren't very many books for kids and really none at all for adults. And that was years ago. So I want to keep doing that. I want to keep giving books to either the shelter, like different shelters, not the same one every single time. And then I also want to give books and continue to give them to free little libraries, because the free little library that I give books to is right next to a food pantry. Speaking of books, before I show you guys what I want to unhaul, I'm thinking about doing like a huge bookshelf in my basement, but I was asking Brady last night, I was like, I kind of want to do it, but I almost feel bad because like the workers already started and they've already done like drywall and stuff like that. And I'm like, if they added in bookshelves, it might be harder now that they've already added in the drywall. He's like, well, they haven't painted yet. So if you're gonna ask for them to do bookshelves, like now would be the time. But I almost feel bad because it's like, it is already, like they've already really gotten into like the meat of the basement. So part of me is like, do I want to ask them to do it or do I just want to do it myself? I mean, I really don't want to do it myself. Like I don't want to do it myself, but bookshelves I feel like aren't that expensive, and having them do that work down there is so expensive. Like we got quotes from all over and they were like the best, but also like a fairly, not affordable, but like not as expensive as other places. And still like we are hitting very high, very high numbers down there. But we're getting our basement done. They're gonna repaint in here just because the color is a little yellow. Like when I got this color initially, like when we got someone to do it, I did not know it was gonna be like this color. I thought it would be more of like a very kind of beigey, but like more of like a white, just not like a stark white. Like I didn't want it to look like this, like that stark white. And so they're gonna repaint up here. They're also going to eventually, hopefully this summer, as long as we can like keep them before they go to get another job, they're gonna do our deck. And I say do our deck, we don't have one, but we have like these doors that like look out to the water, and living on the lake, it's like the point is to be outside. So I would love to have that done this summer, but I mean, that's like way far out because they still have to do the whole basement. Like the basement is like pretty big. There are like 2 large spaces, but there's also gonna be a bar down there. They're, you know, working on like the fireplace and, well, I guess they're working on the bar and not necessarily working on the fireplace, but they're rewiring electric and like all kinds of stuff. When we first moved in here, we wanted to get the upstairs done and then we wanted to do downstairs, but they're also fixing a few things in like the kitchen and cleaning up some things that we've had people do that just wasn't like to our liking. And they're also going to, like downstairs, there's another bathroom, so we'll get a 3rd bathroom, which will be great. And they're also going to do our closet, and it's gonna be like a full like walk-in closet and just like everything I've ever dreamed. So it's a very big project, but we have had them on the books for a while. We haven't really been able to get anyone for a while because like they've been super booked and busy, and like other people that we've used have kind of piecemealed things together, but it's so hard to get contractors these days. So yeah, anyway, really excited for that, but I can't decide if I should like have them do like large bookshelves. And Brady's like, whatever you want, like if that's what you want. Like yeah, like there's tons of room down there. So I'm kind of thinking like maybe I want to, but then I'm like, is that an inconvenience? But then again, it's my house, you know, it's like I should just do whatever I want to do. But I just hate, like I should have told them earlier if I wanted to do it instead of like retroactively. But I mean, again, it's like they're gonna get paid regardless, but I do know that they have like another job they're doing at the same time as this job. So part of me is like, we've had so many contractors who've like started and stopped and never finished. I just want them to do it and get done and not add in anything else, because we've genuinely had like people start the downstairs basement, literally just like drill into it, like you're in the dirt and everything, and just dip. We've had people, we wanted to get like completely new like AC and heating, which we ended up getting eventually, but we wanted to get all new AC and heating, and the person we paid him like $5,000, and they're like, yeah, we have like this new thing, like we'll get it, like they're an actual business, and they just dipped. And so it's like, okay, what do? You know, like the only other option you can really do to get your money back is like, we call this guy, we called like the business, like everything. The only thing you can really do is like take someone to court, but it's like, do you want to take someone to court over $5,000 when you know you're gonna pay out more of that in legal fees? And yes, you'll probably win, but it's like, that's just way down the line. And yes, it's the principle, but it's like, you have to go to court. And like, I've been to court with like all of my brother's stuff like a few years back. It is not fun, it is very stressful. And we just were like, you know what, we're just gonna eat it. That's a lot of money. We're gonna eat, I think it's like $4,300, but still, like, so you just learn stuff like that in the home rental process. I haven't really talked about it a lot on my channel or really anywhere, because it got to a point where I was like, this is stressful. Like a project will start, then it stops, or a project will start and it'll get done and it's not like how we like it, and then the person will dip. We had people who like worked on our like bathroom, like master bathroom, and they like messed up some of the tile and like broke it, and it was already on the wall, and they're like, well, we didn't do that. I'm like, who broke the tile other than you guys? No one's even used the bathroom. It's still being worked on. So those are the kind of things I think about when I think about adding to what we plan, like coming to this team and being like, hey, can you also like make these huge bookshelves for us? That would be great. Like I'm like, we've had so many people dip. I kind of just want to be like, just get it done, and like, we'll get someone else to do the shelves, or I'll do it or something. But let me know what you guys think. If I should just like pull the trigger and be like, no, like do the shelves and like just hope that they'll stick around and like be fine with that. I do feel like they're a reputable business, so like I don't think they'll go anywhere, but like you never know. Like we've had so many guys who like, they are like really well known, have great reviews. Like we were recommended to them from people who've used them and had, you know, great experiences, people we know, and then they just like, I don't know. Like there's something about this house, like, and I do think like, you know, we're coming in and doing a big project is daunting for any team. But it's like, that's what you do. It's your job. You're literally a contractor. So anyway, trying to decide if I want to do that. I do love that we turned this like walk-in closet into a bookshelf, but I would love to have like more built-ins, but like in the basement. And I thought about doing like, you know, built-ins everywhere, like on one big wall, and having like a chair or a desk or something in front of it. I think that would be so cool. But the books that I am going to unhaul, the first one is Consider Me. I thought about keeping this one because there is a whole series, and I actually saw that the author of this book follows me on Instagram, and whenever I see authors that are following me on Instagram or TikTok, I really try to like see if I can dive into their books, and just, I don't know, I feel like if they're supporting me, it's like I'd love to support them too. And like she's never like messaged me or sent me or anything, like she just is like obviously enjoys my content, I'd assume. But I just feel like this is a little spicy for me right now, and I don't want to read it and hate on it because I don't enjoy a wild amount of spice. Now, someone let me know below, is there a really good plot? Because I do enjoy a lot of spice if there's a good plot, but I've been finding that there's so many books that don't have a great plot. And I know some people love this series, but I don't want to be the one that's like, you know, reading it and I know that there's spice in it, and going into something where I'm like, why am I reading this? Because I know I'm probably not gonna like it, because I don't really like that much spice if there isn't a heavy plot. So it's a hockey romance. I have heard that this series is incredible. One of my friends, Jo Johnson, she actually like raves about this series, and I think she ended up getting like an arc. She like makes videos on TikTok, not like bookish ones, but she does like monthly wrap-ups of like what she reads, and this was one of the books that she like has talked about many times, and she got an arc, I think, of the newest book with like the new covers and stuff. And then I also am going to give away The Blood Marrow. This is a book by a very small author, and I honestly want to read it because I'm always wanting to support small authors. I just have not been in the fantasy mood at all. Like I read A Court of Thorns and Roses forever ago. I mean, 6-8 months ago maybe, and I have not picked up a fantasy. I don't think, no, I read Reckless. I did read Reckless. That was like 3 months ago, 4 months, something. It was a while ago, and I really read that book because it was in like the heat of the hype of the book had like it just come out, like everyone's talking about it, so I was like, oh, I want to pick it up because I've already read Powerless, and it wasn't really my favorite, and it wasn't even like bad. It just is like, I don't think that fantasy is really for me. Like, I don't know, like I just am kind of feeling that way. So yeah, this book I'm going to pass on. I do know this by a very small author, and I think that she is in a minority group. I don't know which one, but yeah, I want to pick this one up because I saw it on Instagram. I also think that I'm gonna pass on The Deal. I have heard great things about this series, but this is one of those series, like I read, where's that book? Addicted series. It was fine. I rated it like 3 stars. It's like cute or whatever. And I want to read book 2 because it was enjoyable. It was a very fast-paced, fast read. It was one of those books that I definitely recommend to like newer readers or someone who wants to read something that they don't want to put down. So I feel like this will be a book that I want to pick up when I'm in a slump. This series is so long, like so long, and this is only book 2, and it is so long, and I'm like, realistically, am I ever gonna get through that series? No, like I'm really not, like there's no way, like it's just so long, and I'm not that invested in it. I'm invested enough where I do want to pick up the second book at some point. I'll probably enjoy it to the point where it's like, I don't know if I'll remember the characters' names later, but I'll enjoy it while I'm reading it. Like it'll be a fun experience. I'll probably rate it 3.5 stars. Like I just kind of feel like that's gonna be the vibe. But I don't want to do that again. I don't want to have another series I'm going into being like, oh, it's like an enjoyable thing while I'm reading it, like it's fun, like it's cutesy, but there's 117 books I need to read still, and I might read one book out of the series a year. You know, like I'm not that invested in the Addicted series, and I kind of feel like this is gonna give not the same vibes, but like my early reading era when all I wanted to read was like stuff that you would kind of think that is gonna happen, but like very unrealistic. Like stuff that's like the Addicted series. It's like they're super rich and like, you know, they're living together and one of them they both have addictions and they have all these friends who do all these crazy things, and which is funny though because the Magnolia Park series, they're similar. Like it's like a group of friends, they're doing all these crazy things, but something about that feels more real than the Addicted series. I don't know why, maybe because I just enjoy it more. But I also feel like the writing in Magnolia Parks really sets the series above all else because it's written so beautifully and so like poetic versus being written like something that is like a book talk book or like a book that is written by like Colleen Hoover, you know, like it's enjoyable, but it's not the same to me. And I kind of feel like this is going to be that vibe. So I'm just like, do I need to read it? Because I'm not gonna finish the series. Like I just don't feel like I'm going to. I do feel like I'll enjoy it. I don't think I'm going to not enjoy it, but I have really been trying to hone in on the books that I keep on my shelves because I do look at my books like, you know, beautiful bottles of wine that one day I want to pull down and like read when I'm ready to read them and when I'm in the mood. But I want to actually make sure I'm picking up books that I will actually be in the mood to read one day. Like, and by one day, I mean like soon. So, yeah, and I'm constantly going through and like looking at books because like if I can donate it, why not? And so the other book that I also want to donate is Full Tilt. This is a book that I saw a lot of people talking about in, I think, 2020, 2021, when Book Talk was like really popping off. And I feel like I picked up a lot of books during that era where it was like everyone was reading Colleen Hoover, you're reading everything that was like super smutty, super spicy, like very low plot, very emotional, like 1,000 Boy Kisses, or things where it's like, you know, like, where's the book at? What's the book I'm thinking of? If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. It's up there on my shelf because I've already read it. But that book right there, I loved it. I rated it 5 stars. I was obsessed with it. Now, do I think that if I read it now, would it be rated 5 stars? I don't know. But I do think that there were things outside of the story that made me obsessed with it. One of those things being that the main character didn't feel like she could fully be herself. And I related to that a lot because in high school, I was like very much a people pleaser, and I was very much like, I don't want people to like see who I really am because if they see it, they won't like me. And I saw a lot of myself in her, in the main character, in that book. And so I think that that's how I related to the story, and I feel like whenever I rate books 5 stars, it's usually because I relate to it in some way. And I kind of like reminisce, but also look back and wish I did something different, or I'm glad that I did what I did. So that book, maybe it will stay 5 stars, but that book was very wild. Like it starts off just with a bang, like immediately. And I feel like those books from that era were very much like that. So this book is like, on the back it says, I would love you forever if only I had a chance. Like it says the story of what it means to love with your whole heart, to sacrifice, to experience terrible grief and soaring joy, to live life with all its beauty and all its pain, and in the end be able to smile through the tears and know you wouldn't have changed a thing. Like it's so melodramatic, like so, but I do love books that are like that, but it just has to be the right mood and also be the right author, because like sometimes melodramatic books are written like very melodramatic, but they're not good. Like it's giving Wattpad, which there's nothing wrong with Wattpad, but like I'm just trying to give a good explanation as to like the vibe of the book. So yeah, anyway, these are the 4 books that I'm going to unhaul, but I do think I'm going to unhaul more. So whenever probably the next video, whenever I do an unhaul to free libraries or to the women's shelter, like I will show you guys what I end up passing on. I always get asked from people if I can send them my books instead of putting them into the free libraries or into the women's shelter. The answer is no. Like, I try to do giveaways occasionally so that you guys can get opportunities to like get free books and, you know, buy things and go to Barnes and stuff. Like the last giveaway I did, I think was like 2 months ago. And I did a few. It was like a total of, I think, $500. But you gotta be on the lookout, because I'm not like in the header of my video, like, giveaway today, watch this vlog. You know, it's like, it's very subtle. And it was in the description of a video, and I was like, just comment something. I forget what I said, comment. And I was like, I'll pick some of you guys that commented it. And I love doing giveaways, but I feel like for me, I'm giving away to people who are invested like in our friendship. And I don't want it to be like a clickbait, because I know some people like literally just search like giveaway on YouTube and they'll like watch the video to get the giveaway. Like I want to give it to friends who like hang out here on the regular, and that is usually where people will get books from me. It'll be like in a gift card or something like that. Because I feel like who is going to fill up the free libraries and who is going to give to these women's shelters if not me? You know, it's easy to always think like, oh, well, someone else would do it. Like, of course, someone's going to do it. Like, they're not going to remain empty. But it's like, when I started filling them up, it was like a year and a half or so ago, they were empty. There was literally a hat in the free library, literally just a hat. And for probably 6 months, it was empty. Or if it wasn't empty, it would have like a book that's like those super small old books, and like the front cover's gone and pages are missing. And it just like wasn't cool. So I started filling it up, and then I think more people started going to that free library, because I would share like I filled it up. Like, you know, if you want to go to this library, you can get some books here, but also drop off some. And so then I would go back, and now whenever I go back, it's usually full. And it's full of like good books. And so I think that when we do good, it passes on the good, and people are also encouraged to do the same. And like when you're in a coffee shop line and someone buys a coffee, you know, behind them, they're like, oh, I want to do this, you know, out of the goodness of my heart. But the person who gets the coffee, they're like, well, I want to buy the pastries of the person behind me. Like when you get kindness passed on to you, you want to pass it on to other people. So I want to continue to do that in my community. I think it's a great way to give back to my community. And if you're someone who maybe doesn't have a ton of time to volunteer or a ton of time to, you know, donate hundreds of dollars to things, look around your community and see where you can fill a need, maybe a small one. Like maybe it's donating cans that you probably will never use, that you bought for a random recipe, donating it to your free pantry. And I just am really trying to be very intentional about the books that are on my shelf, but also like helping my community. So anyway, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit wrap up in a bit. I'm gonna go read and soak in a little bit of the weather, because the sun is out. It is cold, but the sun is out. So let's go and soak in some of this weather. Weather like this makes me so excited for spring and summer. Like it is like right at 5 o'clock almost, and the sun is so high still, and that just makes me so happy, because that just means we're past the hard part. Like we are right near spring and summer, and I cannot wait. Sitting out here on our dock is just, it feels like a dream, especially in summer. In winter, it definitely is like cold, because you get like the cold breeze off the water, but right now all the water is frozen. I do think that frozen water is scarier than like unfrozen water. Like when I come out here, I'm never like nervous or anything when I read on my dock. Like I never get nervous to drop my phone or drop my books or anything. I never get nervous. Walking out here when the water's frozen, freaky, because you can see the shapes of the waves. Like let me show you guys. I don't know if you guys can really see that, but you can see this long crack going all the way up here, and while you're sitting here you can hear it cracking. And maybe it's because like the sun is out today, I don't know, But when you look close, you can see all of the waves, like they just were frozen like that. And that to me is just so freaky. When we were younger, my dad used to give us like swimming lessons, so I know how to like do the butterfly and like backstroke, front stroke and stuff. But there's something about water and not being able to touch it that literally makes me want to hyperventilate. And I think it's because I've watched too many scary movies. Not scary, but like movies where people are like drowning, like Titanic or like Poseidon. I don't know if you ever watched that movie. It's like a bunch of people, they're on this boat and the boat's like sinking, so they got to figure out how to get out. And there's a character in that movie that you see drown. And that is a scene I will never forget. Like, he's literally like, just like gasping for air. There's nowhere to go. It's dark. He's like just submerged in water. And you literally watch him die. And I watched that when I was like a kid. Not a kid, but like, I don't know, I think like early high school or something. I mean, I guess a kid. And after that, I was like, yeah, you won't catch me. You will not catch me out in water where I can't touch the ground without like a floaty or something. Because what if I get a cramp? What if my leg gives out? What if I get tired? What if I like anything? And like, what if I like scream, people can't hear me, and I start to drown? And there's like, I just, that like water and like drowning in water seems to be like the worst way to die. But also, another thing that like literally freaks me out, which I think I've talked about before, is like when someone has to pee, I get so stressed about it. And I guess I don't want to say stressed, because really it's like more of like an anxious thing. Like I get very anxious if someone says they have to pee, and I never get anxious about like literally anything. And I've talked to people who like have anxiety and stuff, and I feel like for me it never clicked until one of my friends was like, well, you know, like how you get like, you know, kind of like you feel some type of way when someone has to pee. It's like, that's how people with anxiety feel. It's like there isn't a rhyme or reason all the time. It's just like, you just have this like feeling of like stress and like pressure or whatever. I was like, oh my God. And the person who was telling me, she like, you know, has anxiety, so she's explaining from her perspective. And I just remember being like, that makes so much sense, because there is really no rational reason why I should get like stressed out or like anxious when people say they have to pee. But I think the reason is because I don't like people to feel embarrassed. So the thought of someone peeing their pants like in public and people be like, ha ha, like just like laughing at them or them feeling like uncomfortable makes me so sad. And so like I just, anytime we'll be like out or like on a drive or something and someone's like, I have to pee and I can hold it, like I can hold it, I'm like, no, we're literally stopping, I don't care. Partially because of myself, but also it's because of you. But what's funny is when I have to pee, I don't get anxious. And it's because I know myself. So like I know I'm not going to pee my pants. But like other people, I'm like, I don't want you to be embarrassed. And it's just funny because I know where it stems from. I feel like so many things in life stem from like childhood. I grew up in a house where it was like typically, if you looked at it, it was like really a 3-bedroom house. And I have 5 siblings, 2 parents. We all grew up in the same house. And my niece lived with us for a while too. And this house had 2 bathrooms, but one bathroom was connected to my parents' room. So it was like an ensuite. So there was one other bathroom because the ensuite was like there. So they're like, do not come in here unless like you really have to go, because like they weren't just wanting us bopping in and out of their bedroom, you know? And so we had that other bathroom. So it's like one other bathroom. And then there were 3 actual bedrooms, and there's like a large attic. So like a lot of us would like share that attic space. But, yeah, I remember one time I was like using the bathroom, but we had some friends who had come to visit. And the friends, they had 3 kids. So it was like 3 kids, 2 parents. Or maybe the parents weren't staying. Maybe they went on vacation, the kids were just staying with us. I don't know. And the parents, or the kids, one of them was in the bathroom. And they were taking their time because in their house they have multiple bathrooms. And ours is like you get in and you get out. So they're taking their time. So then I like have to go. So I go to my mom's bathroom. And I just had gotten in there, and I hear bang, 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 bang. And my brother's like, I gotta pee, like, let me in, like, I gotta pee. I'm like, I just got in here. And I remember my mom was like, because I was like, I'm pooping. Because, like, it's a little TMI, but whatever. It's, like, part of the plot. Because, like, every morning I would have to poop. And I remember my mom was like, hey, like, you gotta get out. Like, they gotta pee someone, and we're not gonna kick our guests out of the bathroom, so you gotta get out. And I'm like, I just got in here. And I was like, I'm pooping. She was like, who has to poop first thing in the morning? And that's where it started, because I remember opening the door and the look on their face. They literally looked like they were just about to pee everywhere. And I was like, oh my God. So I got out. And since then, I've always had this like stressor of like people getting in the bathroom, like, I don't know. And I didn't really like dive deep into it probably until like college. And like, I think I like brought it up, and it was with like a therapist that I was like seeing at the time. And they were like, oh, like maybe this is why, maybe you should dive deep into that. It's like, oh yeah, you're probably right. So yeah, it's just funny how like so many things stem from childhood. But anyway, back to this book, long story long. I'm really enjoying this book so far. Anything by Octavia Grant is always going to be a good book to me. Like, I don't think I've rated any of her books less than 4 stars. You do have to know what you're getting into. You're getting into a spicy read. Like, it's going to be spicy. Like, just get that right off the bat. And it's going to be unhinged. Someone might die. Someone might just do something completely wild. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen. And that's what I look for. After reading like a heavier book like I just read, reading books like this are perfect because I have no idea what's going to happen next. Literally, it starts out where a guy's at a funeral. Did you hear that? Ice just broke. Oh my gosh. See, that's what's freaky. That's freaky. Like, ice is breaking. Like, I mean, hopefully no one's playing around and like trying to walk on this, because I mean, it has been cold the last few days, but hopefully no one would be that silly. Some people will try to come out and like skate on this. It's like, don't do that. But anyway, starts out at a funeral. This guy's at a funeral, and this girl comes into the funeral. She's drunk. Like, this is literally like second page. She comes in, she's drunk, and she like goes up to the guy who just lost someone. It's like for like someone that he loves. It's their funeral, and she comes in and she's like, hey, if you ever like, you know, need someone, I'm always here. And like kind of like rubs his arm with her hand, and then she gives him her card, and that's how it starts. So like, I know something unhinged is coming. I'm ready for it. I'm not mad about it. I feel like this is what I needed out of a book like this, and yeah, it's gonna be good. I can already tell it's gonna be good. So I'm gonna finish reading this because it's only like 50 something pages, and then we'll go inside and I'll chat about it. This is my second half gallon of water that I'm filling up today. So I'm reminding you, if you haven't drank any water, please go pick up some water while I get ready to do this recap. I feel like all these books were exactly what I needed, and just shows the beauty of reading multiple like different types of books. I loved all of them. Loved every single one of them. All of them are just so good. I love that I have like started picking up books that are like different. Like, they're not all the same. Like, I feel like when I first got back into reading, I would really only read romance. And now it's like, okay, yeah, I'm reading romance, but like, I'm reading a romance that feels like a thriller, or I'm reading a thriller, or I'm reading contemporary fiction, or I'm reading historical fiction, or I'm reading, you know, a book written by an author who only has 5 reviews. And it's like a mix between a literary fiction and a romance. Like, I love that my reading taste has grown so much. So yeah, anyway, I want to give you guys a little recap of all the books that I read. The World Around Us by Lauren Lacey. Incredible. This book is so good. I ate every single second of it up. And I've been someone who just hasn't really been in the biggest mood to read super thick or long books, but this one just did it for me. It's so good. If you haven't read any of her other books, this would be a good one to start with, because the other one is like, the other books are in a series, but this is like new, like everyone's talking about it, like the reviews of it are so good. Keep in mind, it's very melodramatic. Like, there's a quote in this, let me see if I can find it. It's like towards, where is it? It's towards the middle somewhere. Where is it? Where is it? I don't know. I feel like there's a club scene in this too, which you guys know I love club scenes. There's just something about them. I think when people go to clubs and they just start acting like, you know, themselves, that's what's just, not themselves, but it's like they're uninhibited. Like, they just kind of do whatever. I love that. Okay, where is this part? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. There's a part where like the Mason, who's like the main character in this, he starts telling her how he feels. And I remember whenever I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, this is literally giving everything, but it's also giving melodramatic, which isn't bad. Like, it's a good thing. It's just, you have to know what you're getting into. So yeah, I definitely really love this book, but you have to know going into it. It's kind of like Brittany Cherry's books. They're very melodramatic. Oh, okay, so I think that this is one of the things I was talking about. So the guy Mace, he asks this girl to be his girlfriend, and he goes, let me be part of your healing, not just a bystander. We're young, but I know how to love. Let me love you. And she, you know, says some stuff, and then he goes, you may not be my first kiss or first girlfriend, but you're definitely my first love and the only girl I want to spend forever with. And then it said, then in the swirling chaos of the club, Mason leans in. The world slows down, the noise fades, and all I can see are his brown eyes. His lips meet mine in a sweet kiss that seals his vow. It's tender and careful and passionate. It's everything I imagined it would be. It's perfect. A kiss that's not just a mere meeting of lips, but a connection that conveys all the words left unspoken and all the promises we're yet to keep. As our kiss deepens, I feel warmth that melts away the last remnants of doubt and fear clinging to my heart. Like, and then it says, I want to experience the way he makes me feel for the rest of my life. Like, the way that this author describes love is very fairy tale-esque, and I eat it up. I think that you don't see often enough love stories that are just like fairy tale vibes. And not to say that they don't go through some stuff, because they definitely do. But one thing that Lauren Lacey does is she really shows you how much the characters love each other. And even though they're going through things that, like in this book, they're not going through things because of each other. They're just going through life. But it's like the characters are each other's anchor. And that to me is like what I love to see, because when people talk about like how they're like, oh, every time I read a Black romance, like there's like trauma, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, for one, life has trauma. So like if you're writing a realistic story, it's not gonna be all rainbows and clouds and butterflies and whatever. I mean, there are books like that, like The Kiss Countdown by Ed Easton, super fluffy, super cutesy. By the Book by Jasmine Guillory, all of those. Great cutesy, fluffy books that have no like heavier themes. But for me personally, I like when there's a mix where the characters are going through some real stuff, which in this book, they are. Like, there's drugs, there's like, I mean, there's abuse, this book just has really anything that you can think of. And so just go into this knowing that it's gonna have that. But there's also death, like there's so much in this. But the characters anchor to each other, and they are each other's anchor. So like the things that they struggle with, it's like they always come back to each other, because even though the world around them is going wild, they are each other's peace. So I love that. I feel like that is very true to like what I want to read in a romance. Because again, I do think that sometimes when you're reading books and like all of the trauma and heartache is coming from the character, it's like, okay, is this a love story or not? Because I'm not falling in love with you right now. And when I read books like this, it's totally different, because yes, they're going through hard things, but they are each other's solace. And that to me, I think is like so beautiful. So I'm gonna rate this one. I think I'm gonna leave it at, I think 4 stars, maybe 4.5. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. This is the only one that I need to sit on. I already know the rating for the rest of these. This one right here, I'm gonna rate 4 stars. I have never rated anything from Octavia Grant less than 4 stars. And I genuinely think it's because I know exactly what I'm getting into when I read her books. Sorry, the focus just like randomly went out and focused on the light behind me. It's like shifting because the sun is going down, but I know what I'm getting into when I read her books. Like they're always gonna be unhinged, they're gonna be wild, and that's what I'm looking for when I come to her books. Now, if I picked up one of her books and didn't want that, I probably wouldn't like it. But like, I only pick up her books when I want that. Usually after I read something heavy, I'm like, I need somebody to do something wild, something I cannot predict. I need some spice. I need some unrealistic stuff to happen, and that's when I pick up her books. She has like a mix of like thrillers and spicy like romances, and you really can't go wrong with anything that you choose of hers. If you're feeling in a book slump, pick up one of her books. I've read, I think, like 5 of them, and I just found her books last year. And then All We Were Promised, I'm gonna rate this one 4 stars. Absolutely love this one as well. It would be perfect for a book club. I do think that there were points of this that were not as engaging as they could have been because there wasn't as much dialogue as I enjoy, but I know that most historical fiction girlies will be totally fine with that because I don't normally read like historical fiction as much as other stuff. But if you read historical fiction a lot, like you're golden. I did pick up the audiobook when I was driving out of town. I went to go see my brother who lives an hour and a half away, like hour and a half north of here. So I listened to part of the audiobook there and back. Come to find out that my cousin is actually the person who's on this audiobook, which is so funny. And she also is on Reel. Shayna Small, and she goes by Shayna Small, and she also goes by Nicole Small. She has like 2 different names, but like we always called her Shayna. But yeah, I was like, oh, I want to like listen to this. And what's nice is I listen a lot of the time on Spotify when I can, not always, but I try to listen on Spotify when I can because Spotify allows you to kind of like pick up the book, put it back, but you have like 10 hours that you can use if you're like a premium like member. And I've been a premium member even before they had audiobooks. And so a lot of the time if I'm like driving or if I'm doing chores or something, I'll like listen for maybe 30, 20 minutes, something like that, an hour if I'm driving a long way. And then I'll hop back into the book when I can physically sit down, which is so nice because I don't have to put the book down when I'm like doing stuff that I like have to be hands-free for. So yeah, 4 stars, really love this. I have not found a video where I've had all like over 4 stars in a while. So I'm very happy with how this vlog turned out, and I hope you guys really enjoyed it as well. The next video is gonna be a really fun one. I hope it turns out the way that I'm expecting it to, but I think that it will. And we have some really good books coming your way. So you guys will get a sit down video on Tuesday as always, and then you'll get a full long vlog like this on Saturday. So make sure you're subscribed. If you aren't, please do. It's literally free. And there's videos 2 days a week, every single week. You can also follow me on TikTok, Instagram, my podcast, and I talk about books on all of those things. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.